Hey guys, yeah, it's a bit of a redo on a couple of videos I just uploaded today. Honestly, what I didn't plug in one of my microphones, one of my external mics that I would use for my camcorders into my phone when I was using the voice recorder on that. So a lot of what you would hear in the video, parts of it was a little muffled and all that. And as you would see in the description, I did advise you guys to put on the closed caption because the mic would get low in some areas. But I figured, starting with this one, I'm going to do a bit of a redo, if you will, on some of those. And basically kind of talk about the same things that I did before. Maybe have the videos be a bit longer, maybe not. We'll see. But we're going to start off with the one that I uploaded first this morning. And that's going to be on Discovery Family. Now, when I talk about Discovery Family, I'm talking about the fact, excuse me there. All right, almost got tongue-tied right at the beginning. But like I said, when I'm talking about Discovery Family, I'm talking about the fact that it's because of Discovery Family, and I talked about this in the original audio vid, it's because of them that G5, My Little Pony, Generation 5, Make Your Mark, Tell Your Tale, and to an extent the IDW comics, it's because of Discovery Family that it was kind of a mess, if you will. And what I mean by that, in case you guys don't know, Discovery Family owns the rights. They own the rights to a bunch of G4 stuff. Characters, I'm assuming, towns, places and stuff like that. They own the rights to those to a lot of that. Now you might say to yourself, well, how is that possible since we saw the main six at the beginning of New Generation in that little animation we saw? How is that possible? And that is a good question. And my assumption is that when it comes to movies, things are not so limited. Things are not so licensed, if you will. And if they are, movies are able to pay a little bit more to acquire said licenses for that particular project. But when it comes to a television show or a streaming show, that's a little bit more different. And apparently when it came to Make Your Mark, Tell Your Tale, and to an extent the comics, that's kind of where it all came into play. Now the comics were a little bit more freelanced. I mean, we're talking about comics that basically, when they were doing the Friendship is Magic book, we're talking about comics that basically embraced the Spike and Rarity relationship and made Spike basically the last piece of the puzzle to restore Rarity and bring her back from the Nightmare Magic's influence. So the comics, to an extent, are affected, but not as much. It's more so tell your tale. It's more so tell your tale and make your mark. But why is that? Well, again, it's because I think, Discovery Family, formerly The Hub, was airing a lot of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic show and its episodes and its specials and its spin-offs, like Equestria Girls. It's because of that basically, I'm assuming Hasbro made an agreement with Discovery Family to give them the distributing rights or the licensing rights, if you will, of the characters, so that if anybody else wanted to use them in the future, for an official capacity, like let's say G5, they would have to pay out, even Hasbro themselves would have to pay out fees just to use the characters. They would have to do that. Which is why, when you look at Spike's appearance in the show, the way he acts and everything, it's kind of potentially because of that. You could probably tell that, they had a lot more dialogue for him, or maybe his, dialogue period, his script, the original script, was supposed to be recorded differently, or was recorded differently. But because of the licensing issues and all that, they had no choice but to do what they had to, what they had to do and give us what we, basically heard and saw. That's about it. Basically give us what we heard and saw. And, when it comes to the licensing fees by Discovery Family, the same could probably be said for, like, let's say, certain designs of characters, like, let's say, the dragons. Everybody looked at how the dragons were basically inflated, giga size, kaiju size, if you will, versions of the ponies. That's about it. Like, basically, I think, what was it, Starstrike, I think? Starstrike or Mastercode, when they were talking about it, they said basically it felt like somebody just enlarged the G5 pony designs, put wings and a horn, and that was it. And honestly, there's no, denying that or disagreeing with that whatsoever. There's none of that can be made. But again, this goes back to the Discovery Family deal. Discovery Family basically owns the rights to those character designs. So unless Hasbro wanted to pay out a massive fee or however much it would have been to utilize those designs for chapter 6, if you will, chapter 5, chapter 6, unless they wanted to do that, they decided they were going to go the more easier route. They were going to go the more affordable route and just basically base the new dragon designs off the ponies, which is why a lot of folks would look at the dragons in G5 and be like, why do they have something on the rears that look like a cutie mark? What's going on here? Because if anybody knows about dragon lore in G4, they never had cutie marks. They never did. So one could basically suspect that yes, their designs were lifted from the MLP G5 pony designs, but just kaiju sized to be dragons, and that's it. But yeah, this is a big issue, honestly, that not a lot of fans are thrilled with, because a lot of fans feel like Hasbro basically shot themselves in the foot here. And honestly, I don't blame them. I don't really blame them for feeling that way, because Hasbro technically did shoot themselves in the foot. They technically did. And why? Because they should have known better than to, sell the rights to character designs, places, and even characters themselves to the network that was distributing the content. And even if they wanted to, they should have made the deal only for the show's length. In other words, if the show went for so many seasons, and in this case it went for 9, then after the ninth season, that all the licensing for the characters, the locales, the designs, they all revert back to Hasbro, and then Hasbro can distribute those designs, those characters, those locales over to Boulder Media and everybody else that's working on G5. If they would have done something like that, I don't think anybody would be complaining whatsoever. But it's because they didn't do that, which is why, G5 became such a, I guess you could say, up and down situation. Like, they did have moments where they did talk about, G4, where they would acknowledge Twilight Sparkle. We would see her image. They would, of course, Spike, comes into play, and so on. I mean, the appearance of Philly, Celestia, and Luna. I'm just saying, they had their moments. They were able to do certain things, but not everything that they wanted to. And I think that's why they were held back. That's why, because of this issue with Discovery Family, they were held back. And because they were held back, it caused a lot of things to have to be reworked and changed up, and basically just pretty much shelved until the appropriate time. Like I said in the original version of this video, which again, this is a redo. Like I said in the original audio video of this video, which again, like I said, is a redo. This is a redo. I feel, and I even said this before, I feel that what's going on right now, the reason Hasbro is putting more emphasis on Tell Your Tale the reason they're putting more emphasis on Tell Your Tale is because of the fact that, one, animation-wise, it's cheaper and quicker to get out and distribute, but also the fact that it gives them time to not only potentially work animation-wise, improving on the animation that is for Make Your Mark into potential Chapter 7, if that comes to be, but it also allows them to work on stories. But at the same time, it allows Hasbro to hopefully work something out with Discovery Family to where maybe they can get, the rights back for certain locations, certain character designs, and certain characters so they could utilize them in the next chapter of Make Your Mark if that becomes a reality. That's just my opinion on that. That's just my opinion. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. I could be absolutely wrong, but I feel that the way things are planned out, that might be the trajectory they're going in. I mean, you think Hasbro is going to tell us, right out that, Make Your Mark's coming, later on in 2024, and, we're just biding our time to write the stories, improve the animation, and, we're also biding our time so we can get the licensing back from Discovery Family? Do you think they're going to tell us that? No. No, they're not going to tell us that. They're going to just tell us that, hey, Tell Your Tale's coming. That's going to be our main priority right now. Keep an eye out for that. You're going to probably enjoy it. And that's all they're going to tell us. That's all they're going to tell us, and that's it. That's it. They're not going to tell us any more than that. They're not going to tell us any more than that. And that, in a way, is a good strategy. Because, again, it buys them time to potentially not only do those other things I mentioned, but to try to get that license back. Now, some might say that, well, they don't really need to do that now. They don't really need to do that now because it seems like when we go into Tell Your Tale and potentially Make Your Mark Chapter 7, if that's a reality, they're able to start, that basically we are now able to start off on a clean slate. Like this is basically going to be what G5 should have been from the start. Basically, clean slate and everything, and go from there. And maybe that's what they do. Maybe when you look at the first season of Make Your Mark, because that's how people are going to look at it, and you look at the first season of Tell Your Tale, or at least the first 60 to 70 episodes, when you look at that, one could consider that maybe that's the full closure, for G4. That basically you need to have full closure of what's going on to establish what's going to happen with, G5 and give it a clean slate moving forward. And maybe that's what's going on. I can't say. But it, all we have to do, as the old saying goes, is just wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see. But the thing is, though, when people look back at these, first 6 chapters of Make Your Mark, the first season, they look back at these 60 to 70 plus Tell Your Tale mini episodes, or mini-sodes, if you will, and a little bit of the beginning of the IDW comics, and some will say that what's really, hold on. Almost got tongue-tied there. But some will say that what held those back from the full potential, from what they're reading, is the fact that they didn't have enough material to really, move it forward, to really flesh it out, if you will. And upon hearing the news that Discovery Family is the main reason, again, you can't really blame anybody for feeling a little upset. You can't. You can't blame them for feeling a little upset. Like, really? So we couldn't get the whole, full scope of what's going on and everything like that because Discovery Family owned the rights to certain characters and everything? That sucks. That's stupid. That shouldn't be. And that would be true. But the point is, again, like I said, you couldn't blame them for being upset for that. And again, like I said, Hasbro has no one to blame but themselves. Because what they should have done when they made the agreement to sell the rights to Discovery Family is they should have put a clause on that agreement that after the final season of Friendship is Magic, Hasbro will regain the rights. They will get the rights back to all of that they sold to Discovery Family, and then Hasbro could then distribute it and sell it to the people working on G5. But they didn't do that. Whoever made the deal, a reality, did not think about that. They did not think about, I should put a clause in the contract. Because now you have people watching these episodes of Make Your Mark, reviewing them, reacting to them, and even though there's some good moments in there here and there, like I've mentioned, like I said, the animation definitely seems to be improving, although there's a little bit of roughness here and there still, but you can definitely see the improvement, as well as the music has really improved itself, and the stories the stories themselves have shown the potential to get better as well. Even though there are some good elements, here and there between, within Chapter 5, not Chapter 5, but within Make Your Mark, easy for me to say, within Make Your Mark G5, even though there are some good things here and there, it's the fact that Hasbro did not, make. It's the fact that Hasbro had somebody make this deal, not realizing that they might need some of these elements, some of these characters and designs for future shows, for future merchandise and everything. They didn't think about that. And now, because of that, people will look back at, like I said earlier, they will look back at chapters, season 1 of Make Your Mark, the first 6 chapters, and the first 60 to 70 plus minisodes of, Tell Your Tale, and they'll look at it like, yeah, it had potential, but it was being held back. Like they could see it's being held back because, the full potential it could have achieved, part of that is still held by Discovery Family, and they can only do so much with what they had. So to me, Hasbro, I will agree, has no one but themselves to blame, and hopefully, maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Hopefully, they're going to take their time to try to work something out with Discovery Family going forward, so that when we get into the new episodes of not Make Your Mark, but into the new episodes of Tell Your Tale, which will be the main focus, and we start getting those longer Tell Your Tale episodes that could be about 10 minutes, and then of course the eventual 22 to 44 minute ones, that hopefully by then something will be achieved and we'll be able to get more, I guess you could say, lore of Generation 4 and everything, past Equestria in their timeline, incorporated into Generation 5. Hopefully we'll get more of that. If Hasbro is going to be doing what I think they're going to do, alongside potentially writing up new stories and improving on the animation for a potential Chapter 7 of Make Your Mark. But we'll have to see. But I guarantee you this. I am not the only one, that although I did enjoy some things about G5 and Make Your Mark and Tell Your Tale, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy those things. I did enjoy them and everything. I mean, Misty Bright Dawn, in my opinion, is a great addition to the cast because, guess what? She's a character that got redeemed, but not in the full-fledged villain-wise, but more along the lines of she was controlled, manipulated, lied to, redeemed. Like, she basically made up for doing all the wrong things she thought she was doing, that she thought was right, that she was doing for Opaline, and so on. There are aspects about it. And like I said, I mentioned some of them earlier. The improvement on the animation that you were starting to see, the story's getting better, the song's getting better. And like I said with Misty right now, the character development and growth got better. But outside of that, you could definitely tell something was amiss. And what was amiss was the fact that what was really needed to fully flesh out, the first season of Make Your Mark, what was needed to fully flesh out, Tell Your Tale and everything in the first 60, 70 episodes it did, or minisodes it did, and to an extent the comics, was being held by Discovery Family and could only be used if Boulder Media, Hasbro as well, paid a fee. That's the only way they can be used. And I guarantee you, Hasbro, like I said, is regretting that decision, and hopefully they're working something out to ensure that they can get back those rights. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this? Of all people to own the rights to characters, this would honestly, in my opinion, explain, in my opinion, why, only four seasons of Friendship is Magic is on Netflix, and the rest you have to buy or find elsewhere, or even go here on YouTube and watch. This would explain that reasoning, but let me know what your thoughts are. How do you feel about the fact that Hasbro sold the rights, to Discovery Family and didn't put, let's say, a clause in there saying, hey, after the show's over, we get the rights back? What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on the fact that Discovery Family, wants to charge a fee, for the usage of characters and locales and everything from Friendship is Magic, that could be allowed to be used in G5. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think Hasbro will do, maybe, again, I'm giving them too much credit, but do you think maybe they're going to do what they can, as we build into 2024, Tell Your Tale being the main focus and the potential return of Make Your Mark, later that year in the fall, winter of 2024? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on potentially Hasbro trying to maybe work something out to get those rights back? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, and until next time, guys, I will talk to you later. Again, I do apologize for the original video, which this is a redo of. Hey, I was recording that with the voice recorder and the phone mic instead of the external mic, so I do apologize. But let me know what your thoughts are overall. Comment if you like, and I'm out.